Fatima, I need to know why you're doing this.
I told you why I'm doing it.
True to its tradition, From continues to raise more questions than it answers, and this time, the creators have introduced a figure straight out of Jewish folklore, the Golem. When I first saw Fatima asking Elgin to gather more dirt, I was genuinely worried that her disturbing pregnancy cravings hadn't completely faded. But it turns out she's actually molding clay and attempting to create a golem to protect Fromville. Most of you probably already know what a golem is, but for those who had the exact same reaction as Kenny,
What? It's a part of a religious folklore.
here's a quick walk down the mythological lane. After that, let's try to figure out what Fatima's golem might actually be capable of. Without further ado, let's begin with today's video. The term golem appears in Psalms 139 verse 16 in the Bible and uses the word golmi to refer to my golem, raw material, and even translates to unformed substance or embryo. As I said, the figure has its roots in the Jewish myths, and in modern Hebrew, golem means dumb or helpless. But the one Fatima is making is deeply rooted in history and magic and will be far from being helpless, in my opinion. So a golem basically means an animated human-like creature brought to life from lifeless material, most commonly clay or mud. And that's exactly how the biblical term is used to connote an unfinished human being before God's eyes. The earliest stories of a golem date back to ancient Judaism. In Talmud, Adam was originally created as a golem when his dust is molded into a shapeless being, and thereafter, like Adam, all golem had been created from mud, which are close to a divine ground, but no anthropogenic golem is ever fully human, and the first inability was not being able to speak. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, people found the earliest known written instructions for creating a golem appear in Sode Razaya, a commentary on Merkaba mysticism written by Eleazar of Worms, who lived during the late 12th and early 13th centuries. It was believed that a golem could be brought to life through a mystical ritual involving specific letters from the Hebrew alphabet arranged to form one of the names of God. The sacred inscription would then be written on a piece of paper and placed inside the golem's mouth or attached to its forehead. Removing them would make the creature lifeless once again. In the early legends, golem was depicted as the ideal servant since it often carried out its master's commands in an overly literal and mechanical way. There's even a source which credits Solomon ibn Gabirol creating a golem in the 11th century for household chores. Now, it wasn't until the 16th century that the golem evolved from being a servant to a protector of the Jewish people during times of persecution. It still retained a terrifying presence, which solidified its guardian aura. The most famous version of the legend revolves around Judah Loew ben Bezalel of Prague, whose tale later inspired Der Golem, 1915 by Gustav Meyrink, as well as the iconic German silent film of 1920 titled The Golem, How He Came into the World. These representations later shaped the portrayal of artificial monsters in Frankenstein-style horror stories. But wait, it's important to know Rabbi Loew's version to gauge what Fatima's golem can do. According to this story, the rabbi made a giant figure from clay he took from the banks of the Vltava River, then used secret rituals and Hebrew incantations to bring it to life as a protector of the Prague ghetto against anti-Semitic violence carried out under Emperor Rudolf II's rule. In some versions, the golem is named Yosef and is said to turn invisible when needed. It could even summon the spirits of the dead when needed and acted as the last line of defense. But Rabbi Loew had to keep things under control, so he supposedly shut down Yosef every Friday evening by removing the holy inscription that animated it, the Shem, in order to prevent the golem from acting on the Sabbath. As per one retelling, the rabbi forgot to do this and feared the golem would desecrate the holy day, while in another, the golem fell in love, got rejected, and that heartbreak caused a violent and uncontrollable rage in it, something we now associate with classic monster stories. Either way, the ending was similar. The golem went on a rampage, the rabbi managed to tear the Shem from its mouth, and the creature collapsed into lifeless clay in front of the synagogue. The remains were said to be hidden in the attic of Prague's old new synagogue, waiting to be reawakened if the community ever needed its guardian again. There has been a couple of movies on the legend of Golem, and in almost every one of them, the Golem has turned out to be a greater evil. So if we tie into From's context, Fatima is making a golem to protect the townspeople from the monsters, but her golem might take a turn and become another malevolent force the town has to deal with. The biggest reason I am inclined to believe this is that the golem is generally made from holy ground, mud, and Fatima is using the dirt from Fromville, which in itself has negative powers. See, Fatima grew up in a place where beliefs defined people and heard stories from different faiths from her dad. One of them was about Golem, and now she's making this champion as a symbol of hope. Boyd, too, agreed with her, thinking they could definitely use a protector in this town, but here are my 2 cents. Animating the golem would require Fatima to use the right spells, and let's say she gets it right and it does protect people. Sure, that's a possibility because Boyd said that right now they don't know the rules. So when Fatima's golem actually ends up being a guardian, the residents of Fromville might finally realize that they can tweak the story or add elements to it rather than just looking for clues. Maybe the previous people in town did something similar too, and that's exactly why we saw those creepy scarecrows. They too were trying to create something as a protector, but the idea that the golem might turn on the people is stronger because A, given the man in yellow can control human beings, it can very well manipulate the golem into becoming evil, and B, there was indeed a scene in the trailer when we saw an unusual figure break into a cabin where Tabitha, Ethan, and Ellis were staying at. Now, I know the thing looked more like a giant scarecrow coming to life, but it can very well be how Fatima's golem would look once it's done. Or it's possible that it's indeed a scarecrow and the golem would pop up as the savior. Oh boy, From is literally making it hard to sleep at night because what do you mean Fatima is now doing an art project which can go severely wrong? Anyway, here's hoping that the residents are lucky enough to find a protector in the golem, and that might give Fatima a redemptive arc, for she, having birthed the monster, can also give life to a guardian. Alright guys, that's all for today. Really hope that Fatima finishes making the golem in this season itself, and we actually get to see what the creature actually means for the residents. Do let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, if you liked this video, do hit that like and subscribe for more content like this one. I'll be seeing you on the next video.